Ang mabuting balita ng Panginoon.
Good morning to each and every one of you. Today is the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time. There's this sister who sent me a story, sa messenger. A story about the priest who thought he failed. I don't know if you have already heard that story, but let me tell the story the way I remember it because I cannot remember the whole of it. But there was this priest, very young priest, very enthusiastic. Gabuso-buso pa ang Espiritu Santo sa iya. He was so excited to be assigned in his new parish. He was so excited to say Mass. He prepared so well. But when he arrived at his parish, he was so disappointed. Nobody was inside his parish except two people. And these two people, buringot pa, They didn't look so happy to be there inside the church. They were frowning and not very welcoming. They did not feel as if they were joyful to be going to Mass. But the priest still continued. He waited for a few minutes because nobody was coming. When he realized that nobody else was coming, he continued with his Mass. At the middle of his Mass, near the Gospel, another person came in. But again, this person was not even dressed for church. He looked ragged. He looked drunk, even high. But still the priest went on. Padayon. Said his Mass, said his homily very well. He tried his best. But nobody came. And when the Mass was finished, when he went out of the church, pagkato siya nga kumbinto, he was robbed. Ginkawatan pa siya. He lost everything he had. Even his Bible and his breviary, ginkawatan pa siya. At the end of the day, he said to himself, this is the worst day of my life. This is the greatest failure that I have ever felt. This is the most unproductive, unfruitful day of my life. Wala gid pulos tanan nga natabo sa akon sa mga adlaw. Nothing good happened this day. So he went on. He stayed in that parish for a few more years. When he was about to be reassigned to other places, 6 or 5 years later, he recounted this story. He told this story to his parishioners. He said that this was his most unfruitful ministry during that day. But after his Mass, that 5 years later, people approached him. Two people came to him, a couple. They said they were the two that were there. They were very unhappy because they were already planning a divorce. They were going to separate. They were so angry with each other. But after the Mass, they did not go on with their divorce. They continued with their marriage, and now, 5 years later, they are happily married with a family, with children. Another person came in, a businessman, a rich man, looked rich and elegant, one of the richest entrepreneurs. And he said, I was the one who came in late. Yes, I was drunk. Yes, I was high. I was ready to kill myself. I already bought the rope to hang myself with. But on the way back, I passed by, I heard someone saying Mass, and he said he wanted to go to Mass for the last time before he killed himself. But lo and behold, because of that Mass, he did not kill himself. That Mass saved his life. And then one other, the deacon who served him in the Mass during that Mass, approached him. Father, I was the one. We were the ones who robbed you during that day. But you know, my companion died in an accident that day. I was so depressed. I was so afraid. I read the Bible that we stole from you. And during that day, I was converted and started my vocation to the priesthood. Ang makawat, na-convert pa sa seminarian now. He was a deacon after 5 years. My dear brothers and sisters, my dear seminarians, what he thought was his greatest failure. He was able to preserve a marriage. He was able to save a life. And he was able to promote a vocation. He thought it was his greatest failure. Yet, he was able to affect others. He was able to help others. Dako-dako pagali iyang bulig sa iban. My dear brothers and sisters, in our gospel for today, it seems that Jesus is a failure. It seems that Jesus has failed his mission. After all the miracles that he did, after all the sick that he had healed, after all the demons he drove out, after all the bread and the fish that he fed these people with, kinakaon niya na, ginsalbar niya na. When he tried to explain what he was doing, our gospel happened. It's very hard to believe, the people said. And even after all the things, grabe ng effort ni Jesus, still people left. A lot of those who follow Jesus left because they could not accept what he was saying. It seems that Jesus have failed, but he kept the faith. He kept doing his mission. He kept giving salvation to all. If you try to think about it, even his passion and death was a failure. And yet, through this failure, he was able to save mankind. He was able to save the world. And the question of Jesus to his disciples is very meaningful to us. Jesus asked him, "Do you also want to leave?" But the 12 kept their faith. And Simon Peter's answer is a very good example for us to follow. He said, "Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life." Even in the midst of difficulty, my dear brothers and sisters, my dear seminarians especially, in our life as Christians, in our vocation, especially to the priesthood, life is not always birds and butterflies. Life is not always a walk in the park. Sometimes life will be very difficult. There are times that we will fail, or there are times that we think we have failed. There are times that we think we have fallen. There are times that we will not feel very successful with what we are doing. But our readings is reminding us today, just keep the faith. Keep believing. Keep doing what is good. Even our greatest failures, in the mysteriousness of the ways of God, even our greatest failures can be instruments to save a soul, or maybe even 2 souls. And I think that's already very successful in the eyes of God. Remember that, my dear seminarians. So keep the faith. Continue to pray, even when you feel it doesn't work. Continue to say Mass, even when you think nobody is listening. Continue to attend Mass, even when you don't feel it. Continue to do good, even when you don't feel appreciated when you do it. Continue to keep the faith. As we continue to celebrate this Mass, let us renew our faith in Jesus. Let us respond to Jesus. Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life.